Las Vegas, famous, fabulous playground of the West. A wide-open town that never goes to sleep.
I don't care if the sun don't shine. I do my drinking in the evening time when I'm in Las Vegas.
Get ready for 1 full hour of vintage Vegas. This is Vegas Nights Tales, the radio show. These 3 dealers have spent their time in the gaming pits, and now they're talking. Growing up in 1950s Vegas, breaking into the mob-run casinos in the 1970s, they'll tell what it was really like in the golden era. The art of dice and cards, mobsters and muscles, starlets and harlots. The real story from guys who lived it. Now, let's bring on the hosts. Here's Benny Baccarat, Danny Craps, and Jimmy Bags.
Hey, good afternoon out there. Welcome to our show. Thanks for listening. We're missing one of our friends, Mr. Benny. He's in lockdown.
Benny Baccarat, yeah. I think he's in lockdown for 72 hours, you know.
That's all right.
You know,
we
when
all
you
need that every once in a while. And we want to introduce, we have a couple guests with us today. DR.
DH.
Who the hell's DH?
Right there in the red
All right.
shirt.
And then we got Johnny Law.
Johnny Outlaw,
a
baby.
rebel.
Johnny Outlaw. We're
Outlaw.
really excited because Johnny Outlaw is a local
right.
iconic figure.
And we're going to let them tell a bit about each other.
Yeah,
We're going to
so-
start off over there on the end. Take it away.
Hey, how you doing? Glad to be here. Hey,
Tell him
man.
where you're from, DH.
I've been here. I moved to Vegas in '66 to live with my mom, who was a showgirl. I went to Orr Junior High, Valley High School. Left for a little while, joined the Navy. Went to San Diego, went to college for 4 years, San Diego State. In 1980, couldn't find a job in San Diego. Came back to Vegas and been here ever since. So most of the time since 1966 I've been here.
And you're in the gambling business, right, DH?
Not me.
Not DH?
I don't gamble. Yeah, I work for a major casino.
Well, that's awesome. And you where did you start in at? Where'd you break in at?
I work downtown. Before it was D's, and before it was Fitzgerald's, it was called the Sundance.
Remember the Sundance?
That's right, Mo Dalitz.
Yeah, owned
That's
by
when
the
I used to
Stardust
talk
at
to
that
Mo.
time.
I was a bar back in there. I probably knew you.
Were you? Yeah. It was 1980.
Yeah. Before
1980.
So I worked there for a while, for about a year. And MGM caught fire, burnt down. Ended up being a big break for me. When they reopened in '81, I got hired there. So
Sweet.
I was glad to go there.
Sweet. What kind of were you a crap dealer, blackjack dealer, roulette dealer?
Blackjack, roulette.
Like a fag.
Many back.
Hey, listen, all right? Carson.
Hey, you got something to say?
No, DH,
Yeah.
DH, DH.
DH.
think so.
Hey, DH.
I don't know who this guy is.
Now, so now, one of my big pet peeves that I'm talking about
Just one of them.
is you see these TV shows. There's a girl writing books, a couple other people writing books, and they use terminology like whale. A whale is a big. I've been a dealer 40 years.
What's
I
a
never
whale?
used the word whale. What is whale? Now, another word common is lumpy. Okay, if you're a break-in, you're not that good. You're a lumpy. So that's what he was. He was a freaking lump. If you in the 70s, if you weren't a crap dealer, nice, good-looking young man, if you weren't a crap dealer like him, TH, you were a freaking fag. Okay? Tell some more of your crap.
You know a little more about me than I thought, man.
Well, I was a 21 dealer at that time, and that's what we thought about the crap dealers.
That's
They were
right.
all faggots.
And we
there
bring
we
in
go.
crap.
That's 50-50
You
right
know, crap
there.
dealers would come
And-
down and
and
say
Jimmy-
anybody,
They all
right?
think they're
Jimmy
something.
Bags-
Anybody can deal blackjack. They
Jimmy
say.
Bags was
I'll
a
bet you he
left-handed,
can.
was a lefty.
I'll bet you he
Johnny
There's a
Outlaw?
difference between dealing it and
He was a
dealing it.
lefty.
Hey, back, so was I. So
How
was
about
I.
that one?
I was a left. They let me pitch left-handed back then. They didn't care. They weren't superstitious like they are now. They said
They're
it doesn't
more
matter.
Superstitious.
That.
Were you a lefty too?
Yeah.
DH?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why he went to craps, probably. They don't.
No,
like
he wasn't a
left-handed
he
dealers.
wasn't a
not
crap
really.
dealer.
You don't know.
He was
doesn't
never
even-
craps.
Roulette.
No, he's a roulette dealer,
Yeah.
He doesn't even know what 8 split on
and he
a
knows what I mean.
He doesn't know
roulette
what.
whole. 8 split.
Oh yeah.
17
yeah.
split.
Who was the
Crap,
guy
what's
watching
17
roulette
split on a
for
roulette
10
wheel?
years on swing shift?
He's all right. No, but talking about dealers,
That's
I'll
always
jump
what-
ahead for a few seconds. I'm going to tell you what. Let me tell you what happened, all right? I'm from Pittsburgh, little town outside of Pittsburgh. We know that there's no such thing as the mob, but there was this group of guys that I know. So now I grew up in this little steel town. You guys have probably heard of Youngstown, Steubenville.
Of course.
My hometown, New Kensington. What a great place.
Where's Boom Boom from?
Who, Mancini?
Yeah. Youngstown, isn't it?
Yeah, he's Ohio. But anyways, so I was real poor. I grew up in 4th grade. We lived on 5th Avenue there, like it is back east. You got all the stores down there and apartments upstairs. So I grew up on 5th Avenue, right in the heart of my little town there, and the pool room was across the street. I started hanging around the pool room in 4th grade, racking balls and this and that. I was a Pollock, okay? My last name was Labumsky, all right?
You still are.
somewhere along the
I
line?
hated it because every kid was la Bumsky, la la. But these guys took me under their wing. They were freaking geniuses. These guys were sharp. So I hung around with them. They took good care of me. When I was 16, I started a drive for these guys. Anyways, the point I'm getting at is that I'm a natural
There's
for
a
Las
point.
Vegas. It was a blessing. I'm at the pool room. I'm 23. I'm at the pool room. I just got fired. I was sitting there in the little
Hard to believe.
restaurant in my hometown. I worked in the steel mill. I went to Penn State, too. I got a full scholarship for Penn State. My mom talked me into coming back home to the New Kensington campus, Penn State, and she told me,
went
you got
to
to work in the
Penn
mill.
State.
That's
It was
what
at
you
State
do.
Penn.
That's what you do.
State
You
Penn.
work in the mill. I worked at the mill. I'm sitting there at breakfast one time. The guy that owns a construction company in New Ken there, talking about a job. Gee, I wish I had a jackhammer. I said, well, you need a jackhammer? I'll get that for you. So I broke into the mill that night, climbed over the fence. It's right along the river. So there's a wall about 15 feet high and a fence on top with one gate in the middle. I got one of these guys, his daughter, he's this whole different, we'll talk about all this other stuff. Anyways, the point is, I got caught. My getaway driver, she wasn't there. I got a 145-pound jackhammer. The cops bust me. I went to
Should've rode
jail.
that home.
So now I'm at the pool room next day, and this guy, Gary, one of the greatest people in the world, he says, Outlaw. My name was Outlaw starting in 4th grade. He says, Outlaw. He says, I got a bad feeling. He says, you're going to either get killed or go to prison. Something's ready to come down. The next day, I sold my car. I had $400. Somebody took me to the Pennsylvania Turnpike, called my sister. I'm hitchhiking to Riverside, California, to stay with my sister. So back then, you always got picked up hitchhiking. So back then, I get a ride. Boom, they take me, I don't know, St. Louis, whatever. But one of the rides stopped in Las Vegas. I got to go to Riverside. I bumped into a buddy of mine that lived in town. He said, spend a night. I stayed here. This is August of 1976. His neighbor was Ann Margaret's hairdresser, okay? I met her the first day. I was young. I was a freaking stud back then. I was skinny and stuff, good-looking kid, and I was pretty sharp. Make a long story short, I hooked up with this girl. I owe her my life. She's the one that said to me, she's old school Las Vegas. She explained to me how you act, that the celebrities, they're just other people that live in town. Frank Sinatra, all these other guys, they're just regular people you see at the grocery store. And that's how it was, right? Alpha Beta.
Absolutely.
I lived on in the Mark I
Alpha
at the
Beta.
penthouse there.
Remember Alpha Beta?
But I always seen Bill Cosby, the black guy from Mission Impossible, Greg something, I don't know. So the point is, this girl and we hit it off. She says, I didn't have a car. because I sold it. She says, I'm going to pay for you to get in. You need to be a crap dealer. You're a young kid, good-looking kid. That's what a guy does. She put me through dealing school. I was a busboy at the Fremont. So now where I lived is just across the old train yard where the Smith Center, Clark County building is and everything. That used to be old Union Pacific train yard.
Yes.
She let me move into her apartment with her. I stayed in her daughter's bedroom for about a month till we hit it off. But I would walk from that place through the train yard in the morning, jump a cyclone fence to the Union Plaza, walk up to the Fremont bus tables. If I made $2 or $3 in tips, I could take the bus out to strip dealer school right by the Sahara. That's how you learn to be a good dealer. It was the best dealing school in town. I did that. Now I graduate. I'm a pretty good crap dealer. A crap dealer back then, we took pride in our job. When you was going to be a crap dealer, it's like same level as being a doctor. It was an honored position to have in Las Vegas. The older crap dealers that you meet back then, they're like professors in college. I mean, these guys, they teach you how. A crap dealer is like they taught me one thing real quick. For example, you're a crap dealer. A guy comes up to the game, throws $50,000 on a table. You look at the guy, you look at his hands. Is his fingernails manicured? Are they dirty? They got grease on them? Does he earn his money? Is he a boss or whatever? So now, that's an example. So now, I finished dealing school. Back then, you used to go to these break-in joints to deal, to get action on a game. I used to go to Lady Luck, El Cortez. There was a place where the Paris Casino is now. It was called Little Caesars, where all the cabbie wins, where all the cab drivers went. That crap table, every bet was like this, all over the layout. I mean, it was unbelievable, and they're all strokers, too. Another term that you don't hear. Strokers, JOs, jack-off, KK. The guy's KK, King Kong. He's a King Kong, freaking lumpy. You know what I mean. So now, I'm bussing tables at the Fremont, and I start bussing back in the dealers section. These dealers kind of take a liking to me. They tell me, one guy I made friends with, I'm there working one day. He says, listen, they need a crap dealer at the Horseshoe. But at the Horseshoe then, you had to have 5 years experience to work at the Horseshoe. Any of you that know, in the 70s, if you were a crap dealer at the Horseshoe, you were the best crap dealers in the entire world, in the history of the business. And we took pride in that, in being a clerk. We'll talk about a clerk and a dealer shortly.
Remember what Billings used to look like then? Remember how it was packed all the time?
It was always packed.
Every crap table was full. There were 10 tables, and
Jimmy Baggs was there.
Yeah, you couldn't get to a table.
For those of you who've been to Las Vegas, when you go to the Horseshoe, there's a girl who spins that big 6 wheel.
3 times.
Okay?
You know who that girl
Whoever
was?
worked in that girl,
girlfriend.
she could be 17, 18. She didn't be 21 because that was Teddy's girlfriend.
That's right.
That's
Whoever
right.
worked there. Nobody asked her. Nobody asked. But I'm going to tell you something. If you were a crap dealer at the Horseshoe, like them downtown joints, you could wear jeans, you wore a white shirt. Crap dealers at the Horseshoe, we weren't allowed to wear jeans. We had to wear dress pants. The old man, Benny, he took pride in his crap dealers. Benny Binion, Teddy Binion, Jack Binion.
Excuse me, Johnny. We got 1 minute. We're going to take a little short break,
Good.
and then you're going to resume with that thought.
Good.
And so any of you want to call in, 702-483-4444. We got DH, Desert Head, and Johnny Outlaw, Jimmy Baggs, myself, Danny Craps, and Benny Baccarat, wherever you are. I hope you're watching Sharknado 3.
Now, let's return to the Vegas Nights.
Hey. Hi, everyone. Now, we're going to get back to let Johnny Law finish his story.
Before he does, did you know that girl that used to spin that was Teddy Binion's girlfriend?
No, there was a lot of different ones.
Oh.
I went out with her. I know who it is.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Beautiful girl, long black hair. her sister got killed on the road that goes up to Mount Charleston on her birthday.
Oh,
We'll talk about that.
that's tragic.
Yeah.
Man.
I'll tell you.
How
well,
did Teddy feel about you going with
Okay,
your
listen.
girlfriend? How do you feel?
Well, everything was fine. When I worked at Bally's, she worked at Bally's.
Oh,
Okay? I don't know if I should say this. Anyways, she would want to talk to someone. I would get on the phone. She would call there. If a girl answered, I would say, hey, it's Johnny Law. Is Teddy around? If Teddy answered, Teddy, here's someone who wants to talk to you. But anyways, that's how it was. Anyways, hey, I was talking about being a dealer at the Horseshoe. Okay? The best job in this city was a crap dealer at the Horseshoe. Okay? We are clerks. We took pride in being a clerk. We're going to talk about being a dealer later. The old man, Teddy, Jack, all their clothes. Teddy and Jack and the old man always wore them sport coats, the cowboy cut, all right? Every button on their clothes was a $20 gold piece. Nobody knows that. Their sleeves, shirts, jackets, every button was a $20 gold piece. No buttons. So now, talking about the Horseshoe, when I started, I was that front game at the Horseshoe by the Big Six, where when you're in Vegas walking down the Fremont Experience, you look at the Horseshoe, there's that front crap table still be there.
still there.
That's called the main game.
Yes.
Okay? To work at the Horseshoe or work on the main game, I'll talk about me because that's where you start. Okay? Now, at the Horseshoe back then, and I love brother crab dealers, there was no brothers, sisters, and there was no girls. All right? So now, I'm dealing with the Horseshoe. Nice black kid comes in, goes to Tommy Krause or somebody I want to do. They'll say, put him on the game. They're not going to hire this black kid. They put him on that bird game, busting his ass. Auditions usually last 10, 15 rolls. They would put these black kids on there for 3-4 hours. He'd go home, and the guys still won the game. You know what I mean?
Oh, my
So
God.
that's how they used to do it. I went in
Why was that, Johnny?
1976. So now,
Oh, why?
well, we'll talk about that later. So now, at the Horseshoe, I'm dealing, I'm busting tables at the Fremont for all the crap dealers. The one crap dealer comes over to me, and we're still friends to this day. He says, hey, listen, they fired a kid at the Horseshoe. They need another dealer. I said, well, you got to work 5 years. He says, go in, see this guy, tell me his name. He says, tell me you've been dealing out to Stardust 5 years. Got off work and went into the Horseshoe. I found my guy. I says, hey, listen, I'm tired of Stardust. I want to work at the Horseshoe. It's an honor to be here. I'll do whatever. He says, all right. He gave me a piece of paper. Now, to get hired now, it's 90 days. You got to do hair tests, blood tests. They check your ancestry, whatever, all this crap. In the old days, you sign a paper. Next couple of days, come down to HR and fill out a form. In the meantime, here's your apron and your tie, the Horseshoe, with a little cowboy cut tie. You got to remember, I'd just been out of dealer school, all right? They put me on the main game. There were more chips on the table, the layout, than were in the rack. That's the rack where the boss sits over there on the game. And the thing about the Horseshoe, okay, you got to remember, chips are this round, okay? If you go to any joint in the world now, the crap dealers, you can put 4 chips on the front, 4 in the back. Now, you got those that are called place bets on that little line. Then you also got a guy making place bets and come bets. So you got to stick him in the middle, kind of like this here, okay? So now you got a number, okay? You got chips in the front, chips in the back. Then the guy's playing come bets. So you have potentially 16 bets there. The old Horseshoe layouts only fit 3 chips across. So you got what's called straddling these bets. There are so many chips. It's like being a doctor, coming out of doctor school and walking into a heart surgeon. You know what I mean? A bypass or something like that. Anyways.
Like the Palazzo.
Yeah, I've been in there. Nice place.
So anyways, I come in my first night. They put me on the fucking bird game. I'm on second base. On a crap table, you got 4 guys work crap table. A guy that dealing over here handling chips, guy over here, second base, third base, a guy in a pole, that's called the stick. You come in on the stick. 4th guy's out on break. When he comes back, he taps in for the stick guy, and the stick guy comes around and gives that guy a break. All right? When I got in, they put me on second base, which means I know I'm going to be there for 40 minutes. The first roll of the dice, they rolled, I remember it was a hard 10. I looked. I had no idea what to do. So the boxman helped me out. By the time my 40 minutes is over, I'm soaking sweat. I know what's going to happen. He taps me out. You see the dealers go like this. I turn around. There's them bosses. He gives me this like this. The boss I lied to the night before. He come over. He grabbed me by the shirt in the pit. He says, "You fucking Pollock." He knows I'm a Pollock because the Horseshoe is the only casino your last name was on your badge. You got that little horseshoe. Hi, I'm Lebowski. He said, "You fucking Pollock." I got on my knee, swear to God, I begged Rick, please don't fire on me. He talked to Tommy Krause, a couple of the other bosses. He says, "Tell you what." He says, "We're not going to fire you, or we're going to try like hell to make you quit." And they did that. I went in there, I paid my dues. Going back to an honor of being a crab dealer, when we got home, you see how dealers have chips. All the stacks everywhere on the game, whatever, 20 chips. So if you wanted to be a good crap dealer, you would go and you'd get $40 in silver dollars because they're heavier to test your hands. Make sure, and because you wanted to be, you took pride in being a crap dealer then. You wanted to look so smooth, and that's how I was. Every once in a while, I would make a mistake, but nobody would notice because I was so smooth. You cut your bets out in the cum, you handed it to the guy. You knew the players on that front game there, the main game. You would have.
You get a lot of fleas there. You get a lot of fleas on that game.
That's why I was going to. Okay. The Binions remember back.
I played there.
Well, there was a flea infestation in some places.
So now at the Horseshoe, if you remember back then, there was no limit. Jimmy Shagra played there. Jimmy Shagra is the greatest of all time. He's a tipper, okay? Guys ain't called tippers or whales and all that crap, all right? Tippers are called George, okay? When you got tapped off, you're dealing, I would turn around and say, "This guy's George," which means I'm going to take care of this guy. Fuck all these other players. This guy's George. Now you tap him out. He says, "Hey, this guy's KK George," which means he's freaking King Kong George, like Jimmy Shagra. He would make a $5,000 bet for himself. He'd make a $5,000 bet for me. One time, he was tipping us so much. The racks, you see the racks, they got 5 stacks of chip, which means that there's 100 chips there. Because it's 20, 25 times 20. The game was so big that you were just handing racks of chips off. People keep money in the rail there. He had so much money, there was full racks on the game. So now, I'm doing it the Horseshoe. I become a pretty good dealer, okay? So now, my tag Lebowski. I get a call. Remember them guys I worked for back home? They says one of them might want to come out and visit you. So I heard that you can have your name changed. So I went in there, and the kid that got me in a Horseshoe from the Fremont there, he was an Asian kid. I heard that you can change your name. So I went to this guy, everybody knew who he was, an attorney at the time, Potter. For $500, I got my name changed. I got a bankruptcy, and I got this Asian kid. He went from Jung to James. All the Asian guys want to be Johnny or James or Charlie or something. So now I got this deal.
We used to call him Vietnam Charlie.
Right. That's what. So, anyways,
for that guy Charlie for 4 years.
You Vietnam vet?
No. All right.
I am.
So, anyways, I get my name
Charlie,
changed.
Yeah.
All right. I get my name changed because from that very first day, I was a lumpy. I know I was a lumpy, but in about a year. It takes 5 years to be a good crap dealer. I'll tell you, right?
Yeah.
You're not a good crap dealer until 5 years. I got pretty good after a year. So now I paid my dues. They would kick your legs, they'd punch you, whatever. Tommy Krause, if you were lumpy, he would do a couple of things. He'd say, if he liked, like me, one time he says, because I've been fired at Horseshoe 3 times, but I always get hired back the next day on a different ship. So now, Tommy comes over to me, he says, hey, Pollock, I'm going to fire you in 10 days. Go look for work. I come into work next day. Did you go put apps in? You got 9 days left. Boom, 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 I didn't get hired. He fired me after 10 days. So now I get hired back. I got my Lebunski name. I found out I can change my name. Tommy Krause was by far the sharpest guy I ever met in the business. But I got my new badge. It says law. So I came in on it, and I purposely started on the stick because the bosses that stand behind a game like this, they watch for mistakes, whatever. But Tommy was the sharpest. I knew he would see my badge, right? So I'm on the game about 10, 15 minutes, and I see him looking, and he got it. He tells the box, he says, hey, box boy, take the fucking Pollock out. So he comes around, he taps me out. I come around, and Tommy grabs my shirt. He says, what the fuck's that name tag? He says, I should fire you right now. I says, what do you mean? That's my name. He says, what? I pulled the paper out. I still got the paper. Johnny Lebumsky changed his name to Law. I'm officially Law. He looked at me, takes the paper, ripped it up. You're still fucking Pollock. Get on the game. So I went over and started doing. Talking about what he's talking about. That main game. I would go on that game.
Pollock.
Fucking A, man. So now, on that main game, I'll tell you what, you're such a good dealer.
Make fun of.
That's right. At the Horseshoe back then, this guy is betting 25 cents, 25 cents. This guy's betting $10, $20. This guy's betting $500,000. This guy's betting 25 cents. You treat every player the same, okay? Benny Binion, one time, if you played, you got a comp. Comps aren't no more. It's a whole new story, these fucking companies. But I remember one time I overheard Benny Binion, the food and beverage boss, he says, you guys showed you made a profit this month. He was going to fire the guy because he wasn't given enough comps. These guys, they got their Social Security. They blew all their money at the Horseshoe. So now I take pride. I'm working a couple years at the Horseshoe. Now, that guy that I lied to the very first time, we've become friends, okay? He has me tapped out on the game. I come over around.
Johnny Outlaw.
That's okay.
Desert Head. Jimmy Bags. What's it time for?
It's time for a break.
Yeah,
And, we'll see you in 66.
We'll get back to the Pollock and the other people, too.
I like to have this other guy in the lineup. He don't ever say anything.
Now, let's return to the Vegas Nights.
Hey, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the show with DH and, of course, Johnny Outlaw, he's awesome, and Jimmy Bags. Jimmy Bags has got a little story before we get back to Johnny Law. Tell him that story you were
just
speaking about.
Me when he was talking about Georges and stuff, you know.
And stiffs.
And stiffs.
Yeah, stiffs the other side.
Like I was a waiter at the Flamingo. I was a graveyard room service waiter, and I was the only one there. And this guy used to call every morning, steak and eggs. Boom, go up there, stiff. Every day, boom, boom, boom. Weeks on it. So one day I'm on my way up there, steak and eggs. Boom, I tripped. The steak fell on the grass that they had just manured, you know?
Oh.
So I just picked the steak up, flapped it right down on the plate, and took it up there, you know? He called back and said, man, that's the best steak I've had. I said, well, that was our special seasoning.
He didn't know that it was a really shitty, wasn't it?
It was a shit steak.
It was a shit steak.
It was a shit steak, man. It was like paradise, you know?
Yeah.
Talk about getting even, you know?
You're not kidding.
Now we're going to turn it back over to Johnny Law.
Johnny Law's on a roll, baby. Let's go, baby.
So now,
John, wait a minute, John. Talking about dealers. The dealers you work with sometimes who have a problem with Georges, who have a bad mouth or they use dirty words. Is that unbelievable to you? And I ask him, would you rather have a stiff who's polite to you, or a piece of shit who's giving you all kinds of money?
Piece of shit.
Piece of shit. It's unanimous.
I want a stiff.
Hey, I
Some
don't
of
care
these
if you
dealers,
abuse me. Just tip.
you can do whatever you want. If you're giving me money,
That's right.
do whatever you want. Isn't that the rule?
If he's KK George, King Kong George, I'm this far away from giving a guy a fucking blowjob. That's how, right? I mean,
No, you've been closer than that.
so hey, listen, okay? I'm going to tell you what. Well, we're going to talk about.
Remember the houseboat out of?
Listen, shut up. All right, so now,
Remember when we used to run a houseboat for a
Face
week
the
out on Lake
nation.
Mead? And
right.
Damn,
Okay,
we got
so
some
now-
tales today.
So now go back to the horseshoe. This girl I was with, we ended up being together 5 years.
Sure was a
So,
girl.
anyways, now this is back when
Bruce?
Quaaludes. You hear a little bit about Quaaludes with Bill Cosby and Leo
Thank God.
I never
Leonardo DiCaprio. Whatever. What was that?
Wolf
movie?
on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Wolf of.
They talk about lewds. That was me. All right. I would buy 1,000 lewds
I got
every
the lewd
week.
picture in here.
When the way you did your Quaaludes, they're like round pills, like them Sucrets or whatever. Mint
Bear
sauce.
aspirin, it looked like.
Yeah. So they're these pills. What you did was you'd get 5 lewds, put them in a piece of foil, kind of looks like that right there. Okay. It was called a party pack. If people only wanted one lewd, it was $5. But if they bought the whole pack, $20, and you got a free one. So now I started getting into. I would take 100 lewds to work every night. By the end of my shift, I sold 95, which means 5 for me. Back then, every casino, the town was small. There was only 10 bars. Every casino had their own bar. The Desert Inn went to the Flame. The MGM went to Village Pub, which is now Ellis Island.
Right.
The Sahara dealers hung at the Cattleman's. Everybody had their own bar. Downtown, everybody hung at the Horseshoe Bar.
That's right.
Oh, when you're a horseshoe dealer, you're allowed to drink and smoke pot. If you're fucked up, though, and you mess up on a game, you're fired. But if you can handle your game, first break, I was drinking a double shot of Jack Daniels already. By the end of the shift, I got 2-3 Quaaludes in me. Then you could go to the Horseshoe Bar, take your tie off, and hang out. That's back when we had musicians and showgirls, okay? I
Lounge
used to
jacks. We had
make...
the lounge jacks back then.
That's right, yeah.
That made
We'll
a
talk
big
about that
difference, man. Big
So
difference.
now, so now I'm making all this money. My old lady, she doesn't know I'm selling all these lewds and this. I'm walking out with $1,000. I used to have $500 bills, $1,000 bills in my fucking wad. So now I was all fucked up on Quaaludes. I had so much money to spend. I bought a Corvette cash, but I got my pilot license. I was a personal pilot. I should have brought it with me.
I can only imagine.
Hey, I got a personal pilot. Hey, listen, I got
Fly
these.
upside down. You know?
Listen, I'm going to tell you my list of. There's things called. I'm just this little Polish boy coming in Las Vegas, but I call them my aha moments, where I looked and I'm thinking, Las Vegas. I love Las Vegas. Las Vegas is the center of the freaking universe. Okay, I get these aha moments. I'm going to tell you one of them early. All right, so I come in town in '76. By '78, I'm looking to waste money. You heard stories. You would literally meet a showgirl. You would meet her in the morning, fly up to San Francisco, get a car, go take dinner, and come back that night just to blow money. I used to do that. A lot of guys used to do that. So I'm at the Horseshoe one night. I got my private pilot license, and I owned a Cessna 172. If you guys know what that is, a Skyhawk, where Scenic Airlines is now. That used to be. There was the big Ford Tri-Motor, one of Howard Hughes' planes, a big old Tri-Motor. It got blown over in a windstorm.
That's correct.
And it fell out.
That's right, I
But
remember.
my plane was parked right next to it. I'm at the Horseshoe at the end of the shift. I'm all pucked up on Quaaludes. I see this girl. She's a showgirl. I'll tell you about her girl. Her girlfriend, she was a beautiful black girl. Her name was Velvet. and she played a harp. A black chick named Velvet, beautiful, that played a freaking harp. How about it? That's one of my aha moments.
The Marx Brothers.
When I fucked this
Harpo
broad,
didn't have a thing on
I
it.
fucked a chick, her name was Velvet, black girl, played a harp on the Las Vegas Strip.
As she was flying?
No. All right. So now I'm sitting back there, and there's this girl who I kept eyeing up with her. So she comes over in front of everybody. She says, I'm fucked up on Quaaludes. It's about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. She says, take me for a ride in your plane. I said, I can't do that, you know. She looked at me. Everybody else was there. And she said, if you don't, you're a pussy. I gotta fucking do it, right?
Yeah.
I ain't a fucking pussy. So we get in her car. We drive out to Scenic Airlines. I'm fucked up. You had one of them things where you had to punch your code. I'm so fucked up, I don't even know. So I climbed over and I cut my hand. That's how I ended up getting caught. So now I cut my hand. I get the plane. We took off of runway 19. That's the one that heads out where Town Square is now. The big main airstrip runway, it's 25, but small planes, we took off on 19. The big planes still use it. I took it up. It's about 6 in the morning. The sun's coming up. I got a Las Vegas showgirl giving me head, driving my own plane over the Las Vegas Strip. I'm 27 years old. How fucking cool is that? Where can you do something like that? That was one of my aha moments.
You couldn't do that in Pittsburgh and Kensington, right?
No.
That wouldn't fly, would
That's
it?
how
That wouldn't fly, huh, Jimmy Bags?
And now I know
I just want to know how he kept on lewds.
So now, well, you know, I was good at them. So now, real quick, talking about another one of my DUIs. I got off of work at the Horseshoe. It's the Mob Museum now. That used to be the post office box across the street by the Lady Luck. You drive up and you put them mailbox on this side. The passenger put the mail in. I was all fucked up. I ran them. They all went off out of the street. By the time I made it to Maryland, the cops got me. I had to go to jail at that time. So now, talking about, here, we're going to talk real quick.
You know, I couldn't even keep my head above water in the jacuzzi after 2 Quaaludes.
I was good at it.
You
know me. You know.
You are the man.
Right? I used to drink the 2 beers like this. So now, I'm going to give you a list of some of my aha moments, what I says. Thank you, God. Remember the kid reading the Playboy book in Animal House, and the chick in a bra crashes through the window, and she comes in there. It's when they're having a parade, and the kid says, thank you, God. That's why I say, thank you, God. I do believe in God sometimes.
Hallelujah.
Like this stuff. So now, I'm dealing craps one time at the Horseshoe. These are my aha moments. I got to get these in here, all right? I'm new at the Horseshoe.
All of them?
And we'll see. So now, I'm dealing at the Horseshoe. There's a big fucking game. This guy's betting 50,000, and he's getting into beef. The family knows him. So Teddy comes in the pit. He taps the guy out. He wants to sit down and watch the game. All right? Teddy sits down. He buttons his jacket. I look. He's got 2 white pearl pistols in his belt. And that's one of mine. This is freaking cold. I'm dealing to this guy. He's got $500,000. This guy's got a gun. So
2
now,
guns.
So that's one of my aha moments. The girl to give me the head over the strip is one of my aha moments. Oh, so at the Flame, the old DI joint. I go to meet my buddy Danny there. Go in the Flame, just like
Not Danny
sit at the
Krabs.
bar. No. I sit at the bar, empty stool next to me. I'm saving it for Danny when he comes. Somebody sits down, I turn around. It's Frank Sinatra. Now, I want to go all Google and everything, but I remember my girl told me they're just our neighbors. I turn around. How'd your show go tonight? He's bitching about it. His butler didn't have the right cigarettes or whatever. And it's like, I'm like buddies with Frank Sinatra. I work at the Smith Center now. I've been sober 17 years.
Hallelujah.
I work at the Smith Center. Frank Sinatra's kid just did a tribute. Frank Sinatra will be 100 years old now. So now, another time, I had all that money. I bought a boat. Boats are expensive, so I went out and bought a boat. I got introduced to Lake Mead right away. Lake Mead, when you go out there, the only beach you can get to, Sandy Beach, it's only accessible by boat. So it keeps all the riffraff on it. On a freaking Jagoff. They can't go out because if he's a Jagoff, you don't let him in your boat. So now I got my own boat. This girl that I took,
I never got in the boat.
Carol, she's the one I took in the airplane. So
Now
I
you
bought
took her
the
in a
boat. I says, let's go out. Went out to Colville Bay, right? First time at the lake on my own boat. I got this girl, showgirl in there. I love it. So she's in the back. I'm going, you got wake speed. I pull out, ready to hit it at the lake there. And before you say hit it, you turn around, make sure everybody's sitting because the boat jerks like that. I said, all right, get ready. I turn around. She has her top off. I says, what's going on? She says, well, showgirls, if we have a tan line, we get fired. Well, I told her, any of your other coworkers ever want to come out to the freaking lake? I'll take them all out if we can all go. If you go out there was a place called, you guys know from town what I'm talking about, Wishing Well. Wishing Well is one of them.
Wishing Well Cove.
Yeah, Wishing Well Cove.
You've been
When
there,
you're
Jimmy
back
Bags?
there,
Yeah, great spot.
everybody was bare naked, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was topless, bare naked.
Great
music,
cliff diving back there.
Cliff diving. It was heaven. It was, and that's back when the lake was high now.
Right
So
there. I called him Jimmy Sachs. We got a minute now. We got to go on break.
We got to
We're
hold
gonna
it for
get
a
right
second,
back.
Johnny Outlaw.
Johnny,
Stay afloat in the water.
Hang in
You
there,
got it.
Johnny. Keep that
And
thought.
keep that wishing well going.
Yeah.
I remember that wishing well.
Yeah.
You took a little dip, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you have that dippity do?
A lot of
I want to know how he was able to
All I know
fly.
is none of my wishes.
How
ever
was he
come
able to
true.
fly and on them ludes and keep the plane in the altitude?
I don't know. I think he was upside down. He probably seen
When you
Vegas
have your
from-
license, you can only if you don't fly within 90-day period, you got to go retest. That's the 70s. Now, when you back then,
Oh, wait a minute. Huh? Go, baby. Go.
here we're going. So now, right around that time, all of you guys that are hip or know what I'm talking about, the ludes were the drug of choice in the 70s. But in the 80s, when I went to the strip, and back, if you're a crap dealer on the strip back then, everybody, you know how the casinos do it now. Everybody puts their tips in the box. But dice was called table for table. On a crap table, I told you there's 4 guys that work on a crap table. One guy's on a stick, dealer, and there's a guy on break. When you come up to your game, you take the other guys out. One guy says, I'll take first break, the other one's work. When we did tips back then, that table, whatever tips you made that night, you kept, okay? Now, there was a thing called layoff. When you're working, I'll say this, Sahara, when you're working, at the end of your shift, for every 400 that game makes, you get 100 apiece. For every $100 you make in tips, and we only told the IRS we made $5. Which them guys screwed up. They shouldn't have done that. I didn't like that. I think we should have said $10. So anyways, for every $100 you make, every $100 you put $20 in. There's $80 for every 100 you make. That's called layoff money. Okay? What you do when you're a crab dealer, unlike at the Horseshoe, you want to be a clerk. You want to be so smooth. When you're on the strip, you're table for table. They don't care if your hands are like this. If you can make money, that's all they're looking at, right? So at the strip, guy comes up, hey, what's up? Where are you from? Chicago. I used to live in Chicago. How old are you? Oh, hey, tomorrow's my birthday. Make a bet for me. So now they did layoff. I remember when I first did my first thing, Sahara's my first strip bar. You would take your money for the bosses, and you'd open a match pack, and you would pull the matches out. You'd put your $100, $20, whatever it is, and fold it in and leave it there, and then the boss would come by and pick it up, put it in his pocket. And that's how we sold cocaine too. All right, you would fold, right? You would fold a snow seal, right? You'd fold it up. You guys know what I'm talking about. You'd fold it up and you put it behind the matches.
Yes.
Here, I'll jump ahead a little bit. So now I sell pounds of coke, a pound every month from those guys I worked for. They weren't mob, they were guys. So now I'm selling a pound of coke every month. There was a club, the brewery. Now you got to remember, if you were a crap dealer in Las Vegas, you got laid every night. You can get fucked every night by a different chick. When I would go to the brewery, I had great cocaine. Rocks like as big as my fist. I bought a microscope. You've seen it. I got a microscope just to look at that cocaine. They talk about mother of pearl. You get that microscope and you put that cocaine and these beautiful colors, and you take a razor and just slice it like that. So I would have, back then we sold coke, it was a gram in a bottle like that, or you could have what was called an 8-ball, okay, which was an eighth of an ounce, okay. If you're a crab dealer, you're real good at numbers because you're going to learn the hard ways,
How about
11, 12, all that
town?
stuff.
Was there any other dealers in town, or was it just crab dealers
crab
that
dealers.
did all that?
That's all I
really?
know.
Really?
So now,
Is there only
crab
21
dealers,
dealers?
we are, I'm telling you.
It's like a recap of all our shows.
You're a genius. If you're a crap dealer, I'm telling you, you're a mathematical genius because you got guys
Fucking Einstein.
betting 100
As opposed to roulette dealers who are idiots.
Got $185 11,
6
12
and 8.
split.
That's all they need to know.
Right, yeah.
5 numbers.
6 and 8. So now, if you're a crap dealer and a guy makes $155 on ace deuce 11, boom, ace deuce, you got to know that payoff. A good crap dealer, you know every payoff. And also, if you're a good crap dealer, you know how many grams are in an ounce, how many ounces in a pound.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
454
But you have to be a crab
grams.
dealer to know that.
454 grams.
Yeah, but did any 21 dealers know that?
Yeah.
So now,
I don't think they knew. I don't think
No, they would cheat
They
them,
didn't
give
do
them
anything.
448. Because they'd round it off to 28 grams
Yeah.
well, what you do
per ounce.
to
So
cut
they'd
the
rip them off
cocaine-
for 448.
How'd you cut the cocaine, Johnny?
you would go over to where they
Is it
sold
isotone or
where they sold baby supplies. You would buy baby laxative, Manit, mannitol,
And
and it looked like cocaine. You would mix it in there, okay, and then the more you put that in, they call it cut your coke down. Some guys are freaking. They have trouble selling coke because they step.
Some people were
It's called
Fred
stepping
Astaire.
on it.
It's called Fred Astaire.
I
They
could have
dance all over that
I
song.
could have my coke was so good, I smuggled it in just like at that movie Big Night Express. I'd go back,
Great
take
movie.
it to me.
Final.
Back then, there was no security like this on plane. You'd walk on, go through a thing there, and as soon as you get on a plane coming back to Vegas, you go in and cut your little pack open and take a couple hits. That coke was so good, I could literally do a 2 for 1, turn it into 2 pounds, make the same amount of money. But the coke wasn't that good. I had better clients.
So what ruined the
by
business,
having
man?
to pour
What ruined the business?
right.
Drug testing.
Yeah, right.
Ruined the business.
Yeah.
Drug
No,
testing.
crack.
That's the worst thing
Background.
ever.
Speed.
They check your freaking credit now if you want to get
Credit,
it.
right.
So now
you have to have a credit check to
when
get
I
a job.
when I would go to the brewery, because you couldn't get laid every night there, you had these bottles. Most of you know what I'm talking about. One would hold a gram, or one would hold an 8-ball, and you had either clear vials or brown vials. Well, I would fill my brown vial with the pure Coke, and I would have the white vial with all this stepped-on Coke. You'd go into a brewery, you'd see a girl. Hey, come here, let me give you a hit. Take her in the corner, do a fucking hit of that real good Coke. Now, she's you're with her the rest of the night. They're nice girls, but they're Coke whores. But they're nice girls. You know, they're girls from the Midwest, and they're maybe a cocktail waitress or showgirl. So I'd give her a hit of that good Coke. Now she comes over a little bit later. Give her one more. Now she comes. You want to get a blowjob? Say here, and you go out across the street where the first interstate big building is, Howard Hughes, but that was desert. So many guys got laid there, and you'd go out and then you'd get this shitty Coke and give her, but then she would blow you. So I had a 1960 convertible Cadillac that I bought from a crap dealer who worked at the MGM. The MGM fire. He was all strung out on Coke. I went over. I bought a 60 Cadillac convertible and a Betamax. Remember those before?
Betamax.
For $1,100, I got a Betamax, and it was as heavy as a
car.
Volkswagen.
I hate to stop you there, Johnny Law, on the Betamax, but we that just wraps up our show. It's been
Thank you all.
outstanding. Listen, if you love Johnny Law, please call in. Please write in. Whatever you like. DH, thank you.
Thanks, DH.
Who's DH?
Oh, nonprofit.
Hey,
hurry.
listen. Let me tell you what. I got all these stories. But real quick, I lived in this high rise. I had the penthouse at the Mark I. I was getting ready for work. I seen the Hilton when the flames were coming. But I had to go to work. I couldn't take any pictures. I got all kinds of pictures. But I've been sober 17 years. This is all past me. I raised 3 kids. Clark County School District. I was a parent of the year in 1995. I've been sober 17 years. I don't do drugs. I'm starting a nonprofit for amputee awareness and everything for artistic talented kids. Starting a nonprofit, Go Calvana, Childhood Artists of Las Vegas, with amputee and disability awareness. Get a hold of me. I would love to have you on my email list. Okay?
Absolutely. Johnny Law, baby. Johnny Law.